So let's see here. So this page hasn't changed. The profile page has changed, like we talked about. We kind of combined, like we talked about, we combined the roundup settings page into this. So here you can enable and disable your roundups. You can toggle that, and the text will change. You can remain anonymous or not. And here is where you can set your roundup amount. So this is a little different from any of the mockups we have, where it's a separate page with options. Here it's just a simple slider, so you can go from 1 to 10.
And what does roundup amount mean? That's the
So like rounding up to the nearest $5 versus the default, which is the next dollar,
okay.
right? So trying to get the bigger players in. Um, these question mark things aren't hooked up yet. We need some sort of text or explainer for those, but I think I have a task tracking that.
Okay.
And so this is all hooked up.
That
Actually, let me
that's
see.
that's really cool, Tyler. I like the functionality. I'm a little worried about getting ourselves in trouble with users and being clear about that when they make that
Yeah,
change. But I do like the functionality, so it's pretty slick.
here I can show you the accounts. Actually,
So Rasmus, while he's doing that, did you understand what that slider bar did?
Yeah, that was the rounded, the round up. How to choose how much you wanted to round up every time that you spent, you use your credit card, right?
Good. Okay. That was not just a test for you. It was more of a like how quickly people that don't know the system pick up on that. So
yeah.
that's good that you
Yeah.
picked
So,
up on
so this all saves automatically. I'll prove to you that this actually is all hooked up. All right, so I'm going to disable them, and I'm going to set my roundup amount to $9, even though it doesn't make sense because I'm disabling it. But anyways, so when you navigate away, it actually saves. Over here, you can see the previous value was roundup amount's 5, and it is enabled. So now if we refresh this, you can see it did change to false, and the roundup amount changed to 9. So that's all hooked up and live.
that. Okay.
The account info page is what CJ had been working on for the past couple of weeks. So this is all working now. Pre-fills with all of our information. Doesn't let you change the email address. All of this is all hooked up and live. If we were to change this, it would all go update the user info you can see here. So let's just do, also add 2 to the end of my name and go back. And then that should have updated my name. Yep, Tyler 2, Jensen 2. So that's all live.
Great.
And what I just threw together this morning when I was frantically trying to finish before the demo was the payments methods page. So here you can actually manage your payment method. So here you can delete it. You can make it the default one, or you can add a new one.
How do
So
you
here,
know
if we,
what the default one is? Is it just float to the top, or are we going to put a symbol next to it and
that's
say,
a good question, actually. I didn't put any indicator. We should think about that.
okay, there are some UI ideas in the XD, but we should talk it through.
Yeah. There wasn't actually, I don't think there were any mockups for this page. So I just kind of made it up.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, we can refine this, but the functionality works great. Yep, so it'll prompt you to leave the app for the first time, giving a little security thing. And you guys have seen this experience before, adding a new card.
Yep.
We can say 10, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. This might break because this is an emulator, but on a real device, it should launch right back into the app. You say returned around it. Oh, it worked. Yes.
All right.
Oh, no, it didn't actually. It did crash. Yeah. For some reason, this emulator has problems, but on a real device, it just goes right back into the payment methods page and it refreshes, and it's really slick because you can't tell what's going on.
Okay.
Um, so let's relaunch it. And so now if we go to the payments methods page, we should actually see it. Yeah, so that's the one we just added.
So
Let's delete it.
So there's a second card with the exact same number, even though the expiration date may be different and the CSV may be different. So you don't have any
Yeah.
logic for handling that and deleting old ones or anything.
No, to us, it's transparent.
Okay.
As long as they have a unique ID from Stripe, we don't really care what the metadata is.
Okay.
To a real user, this wouldn't be a problem. In fact, Stripe would reject it if it was the exact same card.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, right, so let's remove this one. And boom, done.
Nice.
All the management for payment methods is done. And
Beautiful.
I think that's it. I'm gonna re-enable this, set this back to 5. And yep.
And then, look at that history you have there. Can you go back to your activity? So how are you emulating all that activity, or is those just one-time payments? No,
Those are one-time. These are one-time payments.
Spark.
The roundups come from Plaid. And I think they're just like dummy values, but they do send dummy transactions.
That's cool. So if you leave this open long enough, you'll just get dummy transactions populated.
Yeah, that's what all these are from. Like I just left them open for the past month, and then they slowly accumulate.
Okay, so I should probably come up with 2 test accounts. One account for demoing the entire setup, and another one for just accumulating data.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I like it. Super slick.
That is my demo, and there was a ton of stuff that went on in the back end that, of course, was most of the work that you didn't get to see.
Yeah.
Just due diligence around saving transaction data when they make donations and saving the payment information. One of the problems we had, let's look at the data. If we just take a look at donations, one of the problems is before we only save the payment method ID. And so if you were to remove that payment method, you wouldn't be able to reference it or like know what you paid with. So a big chunk of work I did was actually to save that data along with the donation. Here you can see I actually save all of the metadata about the payment method. So in case the user removes it, we can still show them, oh, hey, you paid with this card at this date.
Cool.
Which is actually kind of a lot of work, but yeah, that's done.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I improved some handling from Plaid, which we should talk about today. Like there's some scenarios that we'll have to worry about. For instance, when a user's bank account credentials expire or their password changes, we have to be able to handle that. But we'll talk about that when we go over the work items because I captured that in a task.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you and I, because we don't have an official tester or test team, maybe we should go over kind of a pseudo test plan, like a little bit of a matrix on what we should test and what we should reoccurring, sort of prioritize those into recurring and those things.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Okay. But, we can wait a little bit on that. Not too long, but a little bit.
I definitely want the iOS version up and running before we start drilling in that hard on testing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because if I pick something